The afternoon sun beat down mercilessly on the small town of Millbrook, Georgia, casting long shadows across the cracked pavement of Oakwood Drive. Inside the modest two-bedroom house at the end of the street, Jessica Morales pressed her back against the kitchen counter, her hands trembling as she tried to make herself smaller, invisible. At 32 years old, she had become an expert at reading the storm brewing in Derek Morrison's eyes. "I asked you a simple question, Jessica." Derek's voice was low, dangerous. He stood blocking the doorway, his 6-foot frame filling the space completely. "Where's the money from my wallet?" "Derek, I told you I used it for Claire's school supplies. She needed notebooks and—" Jessica's voice caught in her throat as Derek took a step closer. "You don't touch my money. Ever." His fist slammed against the counter, making the coffee mugs rattle. "How many times do I have to teach you this?" In the living room, 7-year-old Claire Morales sat frozen on the worn couch, her coloring book forgotten in her lap. She had learned to recognize that tone in Derek's voice, the one that meant her mother would have new bruises to hide beneath long sleeves tomorrow. Claire's small fingers gripped her favorite purple crayon so tightly it nearly snapped. "Derek, please." "Not in front of Claire," Jessica whispered, her brown eyes darting toward the living room where her daughter sat. "Then maybe you should have thought about that before you stole from me." Derek's hand shot out, grabbing Jessica's wrist with brutal force. She winced, biting her lip to keep from crying out. This had become their life over the past 2 years. Derek Morrison had moved into their home 18 months ago, initially charming and attentive. Jessica, a single mother working double shifts at Miller's Diner downtown, had been grateful for the help, for the companionship. But the mask had slipped quickly. First came the criticism. Her cooking wasn't good enough, the house wasn't clean enough, she wasn't trying hard enough. Then came the control, monitoring her phone, demanding to know where she was every minute, isolating her from her few remaining friends. And finally, inevitably, came the violence. "Let go of me," Jessica said, trying to keep her voice steady, trying to summon courage she didn't feel. Derek's laugh was cold. "Or what? You'll call the cops? We both know you won't do that. Where would you go? Who would take care of that brat of yours?" He jerked his head toward Claire. Something snapped in Jessica. Maybe it was the way he called her daughter a brat. Maybe it was the accumulated weight of months of fear and pain. "Get out of my house, Derek, we're done." For a moment, Derek stood perfectly still, then his face twisted with rage. "Your house? I pay the bills around here. You're nothing without me." His hand moved from her wrist to her throat, pushing her back against the refrigerator. Jessica struggled, her hands clawing at his arm, unable to breathe, black spots dancing at the edges of her vision. "Mommy!" Claire's scream pierced the air as she ran into the kitchen. "Stop hurting my mommy!" Derek released Jessica abruptly, turning his anger on the child. "Get back to the living room or you're next." Jessica collapsed against the refrigerator, gasping for air, her hand at her throat. Through watering eyes, she saw her daughter's terrified face and felt a wave of shame so profound it nearly crushed her. What kind of mother was she, letting her child witness this? What kind of life was she providing? "You know what?" Derek's voice had taken on a frightening calm. "I think we need to continue this conversation outside. Claire doesn't need to see her mother learn some respect." He grabbed Jessica's arm and dragged her toward the back door. Jessica stumbled, her legs barely supporting her weight. "Derek, please." "Shut up." He shoved the screen door open with his free hand and pulled her into the backyard. The yard was small and overgrown, bordered by a chain-link fence that separated their property from the neighbors. The grass, brown from the summer heat, crunched under their feet. Derek pushed Jessica hard, and she fell to her knees. "Derek, I'm sorry, please." Jessica tried to stand, but Derek's hand connected with her face, sending her sprawling. Inside the house, Claire stood at the back window, her small body shaking with terror. She had seen Derek hurt her mother before, but never like this, never this bad. Her mother's lip was bleeding, and Derek was standing over her, his fists clenched. Claire's mind raced. She had to help her mother. She had to get help. But Derek had made sure they were isolated. The nearest neighbor, old Mrs. Patterson, was nearly deaf and wouldn't hear if Jessica screamed. The phone was in the kitchen, but Claire was too scared to move, too scared Derek would see her and turn his rage on her. Then she remembered the road. The main road was just 2 blocks away. People drove by there. Someone could help. Without thinking, driven by pure desperation and love for her mother, Claire ran. She burst through the front door, her small legs pumping as fast as they could carry her. Tears streamed down her face, her breath coming in gasps. She ran past Mrs. Patterson's house, past the abandoned lot where kids sometimes played, her pink sneakers slapping against the hot pavement. Behind her, she could hear Derek's angry shouts. She ran faster. The main road, Highway 27, stretched before her, shimmering in the afternoon heat. Traffic was light, typical for a Thursday afternoon in Millbrook. Claire stumbled onto the shoulder, waving her arms frantically at the first vehicle she saw. It was a pickup truck. The driver, a middle-aged man in a baseball cap, barely glanced at her as he drove past. "Please," Claire screamed, "please help, he's hurting my mommy." Another car approached, a silver sedan. The woman behind the wheel looked startled, her eyes widening at the sight of the crying child, but she didn't stop. Perhaps she thought it was a domestic dispute best left alone. Perhaps she was afraid. Perhaps she simply didn't want to get involved. Claire's heart sank. Nobody was stopping. Nobody cared. Then she heard it. A sound that would change everything. The deep, rumbling growl of multiple motorcycle engines growing louder as they approached from the south. Claire turned, squinting against the sun, and saw them. A group of motorcycles, at least 8 or 9, riding in a loose formation. The riders wore leather vests and helmets, their bikes gleaming chrome and black metal. The lead rider was on a massive Harley-Davidson, its engine rumbling like distant thunder. Without hesitation, Claire ran into the road, directly into their path, her arms raised high, tears streaming down her face. "Help! Please help me!" she screamed with everything she had left. The lead rider reacted instantly, his hands squeezing the brake lever. The big Harley's tires squealed against the asphalt as he brought the motorcycle to a stop just feet from the little girl. Behind him, the other riders braked hard, their bikes forming a protective semicircle around the child. Marcus Bull Thornton pulled off his helmet, revealing a weathered face marked by years of sun and hard living. At 45, he had the solid build of a man who'd worked with his hands his entire life, with close-cropped grey hair and sharp blue eyes that had seen more than their share of trouble. Tattoos covered his arms, some military, some earned during his years with the Iron Brotherhood Motorcycle Club. "Whoa, sweetheart, whoa," Marcus said, his voice surprisingly gentle as he swung his leg over the bike and knelt down to the child's level. "What's wrong? Are you hurt?" "He's hurting my mommy," Claire sobbed, pointing back toward Oakwood Drive. "Please, you have to help her, he won't stop." The other riders had dismounted now, pulling off helmets and gloves. There was Tommy Wrench Patterson, a wiry mechanic in his 30s with arms full of colorful tattoos. Beside him stood Raymond Ray Collins, a massive man with a full beard who worked construction. Angie Martinez, one of only 2 women in the club, stepped forward, her dark eyes filled with concern as she looked at the terrified child. "Who's hurting your mommy, honey?" Angie asked, her voice soft but urgent. "Derek. He's at our house. He's always hurting her, but this time is really bad. Please, please help." Claire grabbed Marcus's leather vest with both hands. "She's bleeding." Marcus's jaw tightened. He had 3 daughters of his own, all grown now, and the sight of this little girl's terror ignited something protective and fierce in his chest. He looked up at his brothers and sisters in the club and saw his own determination reflected in their faces. "Where's your house, sweetheart?" Marcus asked. "Oakwood Drive, 2 blocks that way," Claire pointed with a shaking hand. The yellow house at the end. Marcus stood, his decision made. Ray, Tommy, Angie, you're with me. Jake, you and the others stay with the bikes and call 911. Tell them domestic violence in progress at Oakwood Drive, Yellow House, end of the street. Jake Mitchell, the club's vice president, nodded and pulled out his phone immediately. Marcus looked down at Claire. What's your name, honey? Claire. Claire Morales. Okay, Claire. I'm Marcus, but everyone calls me Bull. We're going to help your mommy, I promise. But I need you to stay here with my friend Jake, okay? He'll keep you safe while we take care of this. Claire hesitated, torn between her desperate need to get back to her mother and her fear of Derek. I promise we'll bring her back to you, Marcus said, his voice firm but kind. You did the right thing, running for help. You're a very brave girl, but let us handle it from here. Claire nodded slowly, and Angie guided her gently to the shoulder of the road, wrapping an arm around the child's small shoulders. Marcus turned to his crew. Let's move. They ran. 4 leather-clad bikers sprinting down a residential street in the middle of the afternoon was an unusual sight, but Marcus didn't care about appearances. A woman was in danger, and a child had asked them for help. That was all that mattered. As they approached Oakwood Drive, they could hear shouting. Marcus picked up his pace, his boots pounding against the pavement. The yellow house came into view, small and shabby, with peeling paint and an overgrown lawn. The front door stood wide open. They ran around the side of the house, following the sound of voices to the backyard. What Marcus saw made his blood run cold. A woman, Jessica, he assumed, was on the ground, her arms raised defensively over her head. A man stood over her, his fist drawn back for another blow. Her face was already bruised and bleeding, her lips split open. Hey! Marcus's voice boomed across the yard like a cannon shot. Derek Morrison spun around, his face flushed with rage and exertion. His eyes widened as he took in the sight of 4 large bikers entering his backyard, their faces hard as stone. Who the hell are you? This is private property, get out! Derek tried to sound authoritative, but his voice cracked slightly. Marcus walked forward with deliberate, measured steps. Ray and Tommy flanked him on either side, while Angie moved quickly to Jessica's side, helping her sit up. Your daughter asked us to check on her mother, Marcus said, his voice deadly calm. Looks like she had good reason to be worried. Derek's face went from red to pale in an instant. My daughter? That's not... Look, this is none of your business. This is between me and my girlfriend. Just leave. Can't do that, Tommy said, cracking his knuckles. See, when a little girl runs into traffic begging for help because someone's beating her mother, that becomes everyone's business. Jessica was crying now, her whole body shaking. Angie helped her to her feet, supporting her weight. Are you Jessica Morales? Angie asked gently. Jessica nodded, barely able to speak. Is this man welcome in your home? Angie asked clearly, loudly enough for everyone to hear. Jessica looked at Derek, saw the rage and the threat in his eyes, a threat that had controlled her for so long. Then she looked at these strangers who had come running when her own neighbors had done nothing. She thought of Claire, her brave little Claire running for help. No, Jessica whispered. Then louder, with more strength than she'd felt in months. No, I want him out. I want him gone. You heard the lady, Marcus said, taking another step toward Derek. Time to leave. Derek's bravado returned, fueled by desperation. You can't make me leave. I live here, and you're trespassing. I'll call the cops. Please do, Ray said, holding up his phone. We already called them. They're on their way. I'm sure they'll be real interested in that woman's face. The color drained from Derek's face again. He looked at Jessica, then at the bikers, calculating his options. Jessica, tell them this is a misunderstanding. Tell them. Get out, Jessica said, her voice stronger now. Get out of my house. Don't ever come back. Derek's face twisted with fury. You stupid... He took a step toward Jessica, his hand raised. He didn't get any further. Marcus moved with surprising speed for a man his size, stepping between Derek and Jessica. Touch her again, and you'll be leaving in an ambulance instead of on your own 2 feet. For a moment, Derek looked like he might actually try to fight. He was a big man, used to intimidating people, used to getting his way through violence. But he was also a coward at heart, and he knew it. 4 against 1, with more bikers presumably nearby, and the cops coming. Even he wasn't that stupid. "Fine," Derek spat. "Fine. But this isn't over, Jessica. You remember that. This isn't over." "Yeah, it is," Tommy said, moving to block Derek's path to Jessica. "You're gonna go inside, get your stuff, and I mean your stuff, nothing that belongs to these ladies, and you're gonna leave, and you're not gonna come back, ever." Derek looked like he wanted to argue, but Ray stepped forward, all 6'4" and 250 pounds of him, and Derek's resolve crumbled. "Whatever. She's not worth it anyway." Tommy and Ray escorted Derek into the house, watching him like hawks as he gathered his belongings. Some clothes, a few personal items, his wallet from the kitchen counter. The whole time, he muttered under his breath, casting hateful glances toward the back door where Marcus remained with Jessica and Angie. In the backyard, Angie was carefully examining Jessica's injuries. "You need medical attention," she said quietly. "That eye is swelling shut, and your lip needs stitches." "I can't afford," Jessica began. "Don't worry about that right now," Angie interrupted gently. "One thing at a time. First, let's get you cleaned up. Is there a first aid kit inside?" Jessica nodded. "Bathroom, under the sink." Marcus heard sirens in the distance growing closer. "Police are almost here. Jessica, are you willing to press charges against him?" Jessica hesitated. 2 years of conditioning, of Derek telling her she was worthless, that no one would believe her, that she had nowhere to go, made her doubt. But then she thought of Claire's face at that window, watching Derek hurt her. She thought of her daughter running into traffic, desperate and terrified. "Yes," Jessica said firmly. "Yes, I'll press charges." Marcus nodded approvingly. "Good. That's real courage right there." Tommy and Ray emerged from the house, Derek walking between them with a duffel bag over his shoulder. His face was sullen, defeated. As they reached the driveway, 2 police cruisers pulled up, lights flashing. Officer David Brennan stepped out of the first car, his hand resting on his service weapon as he took in the scene. 4 bikers, 1 angry-looking man with a bag, and the sound of crying from the backyard. "Someone want to tell me what's going on here?" Officer Brennan asked, his voice professional but wary. Marcus stepped forward, his hands visible and non-threatening. "Officer, my name is Marcus Thornton. About 15 minutes ago, a little girl ran into traffic on Highway 27, flagging down me and my motorcycle club. She said a man was beating her mother. We came here and found this woman," he gestured toward the backyard, "being assaulted by this man." He pointed at Derek. Derek immediately spoke up. "That's not true. I'm her boyfriend, and these thugs broke into my house and—" "It's not your house," Jessica's voice came from the backyard, stronger than it had been. She appeared in the doorway, Angie supporting her, and Officer Brennan's expression darkened at the sight of her injuries. "I'm Jessica Morales. This is my house, my rental. Derek Morrison has been living here, but I want him out. He's been hitting me, and today he—" Her voice broke. "Today, my daughter saw him choking me. She ran for help, and these people saved me." Officer Brennan's partner, Officer Lisa Chen, had been photographing the scene. She approached Jessica carefully. "Ms. Morales, would you be willing to give a statement?" "Yes," Jessica said without hesitation. Over the next hour, statements were taken. Claire was brought back from the highway by Jake and the other club members, and she ran to her mother, wrapping her arms around Jessica's waist and sobbing. Despite her pain, Jessica held her daughter close, whispering promises that everything would be okay now. Derek was arrested and charged with domestic battery and assault. As Officer Brennan read him his rights and placed him in handcuffs, Derek glared at Jessica with pure hatred. "You're making a mistake," he hissed. "You'll regret this." "The only mistake I made was letting you into my life," Jessica replied, her voice steady despite her tears. "Goodbye, Derek." As the police car drove away with Derek in the back seat, Jessica felt something she hadn't felt in years: hope. She looked at the bikers who had come to her rescue, these rough-looking strangers who had shown her more kindness and protection in 1 hour than Derek had in 2 years. "Thank you," she said, the words inadequate for what she felt. "Thank you so much. You saved my life. Claire saved my life." Marcus knelt down to Claire's level, his weathered face gentle. "You did real good today, Claire. You were brave when it mattered most. Your mom is lucky to have you." Claire wiped her tears and managed a small smile. Angie touched Jessica's shoulder. "Honey, you need to get those injuries checked out. Can we take you to the hospital?" "I don't have insurance," Jessica admitted, shame coloring her voice, "and I can't afford—" "We'll figure it out," Marcus interrupted. "Right now you need medical care. Everything else we'll handle." Officer Chen, who'd been finishing up the paperwork, approached. "Ms. Morales, there's a victim advocacy center downtown. They can help you with medical costs, temporary housing if needed, and legal assistance for a restraining order. I have their card right here." She handed Jessica a business card, and Jessica took it with trembling hands. As the police officers prepared to leave, Officer Brennan pulled Marcus aside. "I'm going to need you and your people to come down to the station to give formal statements, but I want you to know you did good today. Not everyone would have stopped to help." Marcus shrugged. "Couldn't just ride past a kid asking for help. Still, the world needs more people like you." Officer Brennan shook Marcus's hand before returning to his cruiser. As the sun began to set over Millbrook, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, Jessica sat on her front porch with Claire curled up beside her. The other bikers had left, promising to check in tomorrow, but Marcus had stayed behind. "Why did you help us?" Jessica asked him. "You don't even know us." Marcus was silent for a moment, looking out at the quiet street. "About 10 years ago, I was in a bad place, drinking too much, angry all the time. My wife, my ex-wife now, she took our girls and left. Best thing she ever did, because I wasn't the man they needed me to be. I hit rock bottom, and it was the brotherhood that pulled me back up. They gave me purpose, made me want to be better." He turned to look at Jessica. "I learned something in those dark days. Everybody needs help sometimes. Everybody deserves a chance to start over. Your daughter, she reminded me why we ride. To be there when people need us. To be the help that shows up." Jessica's eyes filled with tears again, but this time they were tears of gratitude, not pain. "I don't know how to thank you. You already did. You pressed charges. You stood up for yourself and your daughter. That takes more courage than anything we did today." Marcus stood, stretching his back. "Get some rest tonight. Tomorrow's going to be hard. Police statements, medical appointments, restraining orders. But you don't have to do it alone. Here's my number." He handed her a card with the Iron Brotherhood's logo and a phone number. "You call if you need anything. And I mean anything." As Marcus walked back to his motorcycle, Claire called out to him. "Mr. Bull?" He turned, smiling at the nickname. "Yeah, sweetheart. Are you a superhero?" Marcus laughed, a warm, genuine sound. "No, Claire. I'm just a guy on a bike who happened to be in the right place at the right time. The real hero today was you. Don't ever forget that." He mounted his Harley, the engine roaring to life. With a final wave, he rode off into the gathering dusk, leaving Jessica and Claire to begin the long process of healing. Inside the yellow house at the end of Oakwood Drive, Jessica locked the door, all the locks, for the first time in months without fear of Derek's reaction. She cleaned her daughter's room, made them both dinner, and tucked Claire into bed with extra hugs and kisses. "Mommy," Claire asked as Jessica turned out the light. Yes, baby? Is Derek really gone? Really gone, Jessica promised. He's never coming back. Because the motorcycle people will protect us. Jessica thought about Marcus's words, about courage and standing up for yourself. Because I'm going to protect us, but yes, they're going to help. Claire smiled, her eyes already closing. I like them. They're nice. They are, Jessica agreed. Now sleep, baby. Tomorrow's a new day. As Claire drifted off to sleep, Jessica sat in the living room, holding an ice pack to her swollen eye. Her body ached, her face throbbed, but her heart felt lighter than it had in years. The road ahead would be difficult, she knew that. There would be court dates, therapy, financial struggles, and the constant fear that Derek might somehow return. But for the first time in so long, she had hope. She had allies. And most importantly, she had found her own strength, reflected in the brave face of her 7-year-old daughter who had run into traffic to save her mother's life. Tomorrow, the real work would begin. But tonight, Jessica Morales allowed herself to simply breathe, to simply exist without fear. It was enough. For now, it was more than enough. The morning sun filtered through the thin curtains of Jessica's bedroom, and for the first time in months, she woke without the heavy weight of dread in her chest. Then she moved, and pain shot through her ribs, her face, her arms. The events of yesterday came rushing back. She heard Claire's soft footsteps in the hallway, then the creak of her bedroom door opening. Mummy, are you awake? I'm awake, baby. Jessica tried to smile, though it hurt her split lip. Come here. Claire climbed onto the bed carefully, mindful of her mother's injuries. In the morning light, Jessica could see the dark circles under her daughter's eyes. Claire hadn't slept well. Jessica had heard her crying out in her sleep twice during the night. Does it hurt a lot? Claire asked, gently touching near one of Jessica's bruises, but not on it. A little, Jessica admitted, not wanting to lie. But I'll be okay. We both will be. There was a knock at the front door, and both of them tensed. Jessica's heart hammered in her chest. Could Derek have made bail already? But no, he wouldn't knock. He'd bang. He'd demand entry. Stay here, Jessica told Claire, climbing slowly out of bed. She had slept in her clothes, too exhausted and afraid to change. Now she padded to the front door and peered through the peephole. It was Angie, the female biker from yesterday, holding 2 coffee cups and a white paper bag. Jessica's relief was so profound, she nearly cried. She unlocked the door and opened it. Angie. Morning, honey. Figured you might not be up for cooking breakfast, so I brought some. Angie lifted the bag. Bagels, cream cheese, and some fruit. And coffee. Though if Claire wants some, there's orange juice in here too. Jessica's throat tightened with emotion. You didn't have to do that. I know. I wanted to. Angie stepped inside, taking in the small living room with its worn furniture and children's toys scattered across the floor. How are you feeling? Sore, but alive. Jessica closed the door and locked it, a habit she knew she'd maintained for a long time. Claire had nightmares. That's normal. So will you, probably. Angie set the bag and coffees on the kitchen table. I went through something similar about 6 years ago. Different situation, but same kind of aftermath. It gets better, but it takes time. Claire appeared in the kitchen doorway, still in her pajamas decorated with cartoon unicorns. She looked at Angie with a mix of shyness and recognition. Hey there, Claire Bear, Angie said warmly. You like bagels? Claire nodded. Good. I got plain, everything, and cinnamon raisin. Take your pick. Over breakfast, Angie laid out the plan for the day. Officer Chen called me this morning. I gave her my number yesterday in case she needed to follow up. Derek's still in custody. His bail hearing is set for Monday. That gives us the weekend to get a restraining order filed and make sure this house is secure. Secure? Jessica asked. New locks, definitely. Maybe a security camera or 2. Nothing fancy, just something so you can see who's at your door. Marcus knows a locksmith who owes him a favor. Angie sipped her coffee. Also, you've got an appointment at the hospital at 11. They're going to document your injuries properly for the case, and they'll check you out medically. I told you, I can't afford... The Victim Advocacy Center is covering it, Angie interrupted gently. That's what they do. And before you say you can't accept charity, this isn't charity. This is you using resources that exist specifically to help people in your situation. Jessica felt tears prick her eyes. She had been alone for so long, dealing with Derek's abuse in silence, convinced she had no options. Now, suddenly, people were helping her, and it felt almost too good to be true. Why are you doing this? Jessica asked. Why do you care? Angie was quiet for a moment, her fingers wrapped around her coffee cup. When I was 28, I was married to a man named Carlos. He was charming at first, then controlling, then violent. It took me 3 years to leave, and when I finally did, I had nowhere to go. My family had disowned me for marrying him in the first place. He wasn't the man they wanted for me, and I'd lost touch with all my friends. She looked up, meeting Jessica's eyes. I ended up at a women's shelter. The people there, they didn't just give me a bed and meals. They gave me hope. They helped me believe I deserved better. One of the counselors there, her name was Rita. She told me something I'll never forget. The best way to honor the help you've received is to pass it forward. Angie smiled. So that's what I'm doing. Passing it forward. You'd do the same for someone else, wouldn't you? Jessica nodded, unable to speak past the lump in her throat. Besides, Angie added, her tone lightening, Marcus would have my head if I didn't make sure you two were okay. He's got a soft spot for kids, always has. At 11 o'clock, Angie drove Jessica and Claire to Millbrook General Hospital in her pickup truck, a beat-up Ford F-150 with the Iron Brotherhood logo on the back window. Claire sat between them, unusually quiet, holding her mother's hand. The hospital was small, just 3 stories, serving the rural communities around Millbrook. In the emergency department, they were met by Dr. Rachel Kim, a young physician with kind eyes and efficient movements. Ms. Morales, I'm going to examine you and document your injuries, Dr. Kim explained. This documentation will be important for your case. I'll also need to ask you some questions about what happened. Is it okay if Claire waits outside with your friend? Jessica hesitated. She hated being separated from Claire, even for a moment. We'll be right outside, Angie assured her. Come on, Claire, let's see if they have any good magazines in the waiting room. The examination was thorough and humiliating. Jessica had to remove her clothes, while Dr. Kim photographed every bruise, every mark. There were so many, some fresh from yesterday, others older, in various stages of healing. Bruises on her arms from where Derek had grabbed her, on her ribs from where he'd kicked her last week, on her back from when he'd shoved her against the wall. How long has this been going on? Dr. Kim asked gently, making notes on her tablet. About 18 months, Jessica admitted. It started small, just grabbing my arm too hard, pushing me. Then it got worse. Has he ever hit Claire? No, never. If he had, I would have... Jessica stopped. Would she have left? Or would she have made excuses for that too, paralyzed by fear and financial dependence? Dr. Kim didn't push the question. Your left eye has significant swelling and bruising, but there's no damage to the eye itself. Your ribs are bruised but not broken. Your lip will heal on its own. The split isn't deep enough to require stitches. You'll be in pain for a while, but physically, you're going to be fine. She paused, her expression serious. Emotionally and psychologically, that's a different story. Have you been connected with counseling services? The Victim Advocacy Center, Jessica said. Good, use them. PTSD from domestic violence is real and can be severe. Don't try to tough it out alone. As Jessica dressed again, Dr. Kim handed her a folder. This contains copies of the medical report and photographs. Keep it somewhere safe. And Ms. Morales? You were brave to leave. Many women don't make it out. You should be proud of yourself. Jessica took the folder with shaking hands. Proud. It had been so long since anyone had told her she should be proud of anything. When she emerged from the examination room, she found Claire and Angie in the waiting room. Claire was coloring in a hospital activity book, and Angie was on her phone. "All done?" Angie asked, standing. "All done." "Good, because Marcus just texted. The locksmith can be at your place in an hour. We should head back." The locksmith was a man in his 60s named Harold Pritchard, with weathered hands and a gentle manner. He arrived in a van filled with tools and hardware, accompanied by Marcus on his motorcycle. "Ms. Morales," Marcus greeted her with a nod. "How you holding up?" "Better, thanks to you and your friends." Marcus shrugged off the gratitude, uncomfortable with praise. "Harold here is the best locksmith in 3 counties. He's going to replace all your exterior locks and install deadbolts. Also brought a couple of security cameras, simple ones that connect to your phone. You'll be able to see who's at your door, even when you're not home." "I can't possibly afford all this," Jessica began. "Already paid for," Marcus interrupted. "Consider it done." "But why? You don't even know me." Marcus looked at her seriously. "You got a kid to raise and a new life to build. You don't need to be worrying about whether that piece of garbage is going to come back and kick your door in. So we're making sure he can't. End of story." There was no point in arguing. Jessica was learning that about these bikers. When they decided to help, they helped, and they didn't want or expect anything in return. While Harold worked on the locks, Marcus sat on the front porch with Claire. Jessica watched through the window as he showed her pictures on his phone. His 3 daughters, all grown now, and his 4 grandchildren. "That's Emma. She's 6, Marcus was saying, pointing at a photo. "She likes coloring too." "What are you drawing there?" "A motorcycle," Claire said shyly. "Like yours." "Yeah? Can I see?" Claire showed him her drawing, a colorful, childish interpretation of a Harley Davidson. "That's real good. You got talent, kid." Claire beamed under his praise, and Jessica felt a pang in her chest. Derek had never taken interest in Claire's drawings, had never praised her for anything. In fact, he'd often criticized her, said she was too loud, too needy, too much in the way. Around 3 o'clock, more motorcycles pulled up. It was Tommy, Ray, and 3 other club members Jessica hadn't met yet. They carried bags of groceries. "Figured you could use some supplies," Tommy explained, bringing the bags into the kitchen. "Nothing fancy, just basics. Milk, eggs, bread, some pasta, ground beef, vegetables. Oh, and Ray insisted on buying Lucky Charms because apparently we're all 6 years old now." Ray grinned sheepishly. "Kids like Lucky Charms. I liked Lucky Charms." Jessica was overwhelmed. "I don't know what to say. This is all so much." "Don't say anything," Ray replied, putting the cereal in the cupboard. "Just accept it. We take care of our own, and as of yesterday, you and Claire are under the Brotherhood's protection." "What does that mean exactly?" Jessica asked. "It means," Marcus said, coming in from the porch with Claire, "that if anyone messes with you, they're messing with all of us. It means you're not alone anymore. It means we've got your back." That night, after all the bikers had left and the new locks were installed and the security cameras were synced to her phone, Jessica made dinner for herself and Claire. It was just spaghetti with marinara sauce. Nothing fancy, but it was the first meal she'd cooked without anxiety in nearly 2 years. They ate at their small kitchen table, and Claire chattered about Marcus's grandchildren and how nice Tommy had been, letting her help put away groceries. She seemed lighter, less burdened, and Jessica realized that the violence hadn't just affected her. It had weighed on Claire too, had stolen her childhood innocence. "Mommy," Claire asked as Jessica washed the dishes. "Yes, baby. Is Derek really never coming back?" Jessica dried her hands and knelt down to her daughter's level. He's really never coming back. We have new locks, we have cameras, we have friends who are watching out for us, and most importantly, I'm never letting him back into our lives. Never. Promise? I promise. Jessica hugged her daughter close. I'm so sorry, Claire. Sorry you had to see all that. Sorry it took me so long to make him leave. Sorry I didn't protect you better. You did protect me, Claire said simply. You told him to stop. You tried to make him leave. And when I ran for help, you were brave with the police. You told them the truth. Out of the mouths of babes, Jessica thought. Her 7-year-old understood what she herself had struggled to see, that she had been trapped, and that finding the courage to escape was its own form of bravery. That night, Jessica let Claire sleep in her bed. They both needed the comfort, the reassurance of each other's presence. As Claire drifted off to sleep, Jessica stared at the ceiling, her mind racing. Tomorrow, she would go to the courthouse with Angie to file for a restraining order. Tomorrow, she would meet with someone from the Victim Advocacy Center to discuss her options. Tomorrow, she would start the process of rebuilding her life. But tonight, for the first time in months, she felt safe in her own home. She felt protected. She felt like maybe, just maybe, everything was going to be okay. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand, a text message from Marcus. Locks all good? Cameras working? Jessica smiled and typed back, everything's perfect. Thank you again. No thanks needed. Get some rest. Big day tomorrow. You got this. Jessica set the phone down and closed her eyes. In the darkness of her bedroom, with her daughter sleeping peacefully beside her and new locks on all the doors, Jessica Morales allowed herself to believe Marcus's words. She did have this, and she wasn't alone anymore. Monday morning arrived with the weight of inevitability. Derek's bail hearing was scheduled for 10 o'clock, and although Jessica wouldn't be required to attend, she wanted to be there. She needed to look him in the eye and show herself that she wasn't afraid anymore. Angie picked them up at 8:30. Claire was staying with Mrs. Patterson, the elderly neighbor who had been horrified to learn what had been happening right next door to her. I'm so sorry I didn't hear anything, Mrs. Patterson had said yesterday, her lined face creased with guilt. My hearing aids, they're not what they used to be. If I'd known, it's not your fault, Jessica had assured her. And it wasn't. The only person at fault was Derek. The courthouse was a stolid brick building in downtown Millbrook, built in the 1950s and showing its age. Marcus was waiting outside, along with Tommy and Ray. They wore their leather vests, despite the late summer heat, a show of solidarity and strength. You didn't have to come, Jessica said, though she was grateful they had. Yeah, we did, Marcus replied. Besides, I want to get a look at this guy in the light of day, when he can't hide behind hitting women. Inside, the courtroom was small and stuffy with wooden benches and outdated fluorescent lighting. Jessica sat in the gallery with Angie beside her and the 3 bikers in the row behind them. She could feel their presence like a shield at her back. When Derek was led in wearing an orange jumpsuit and handcuffs, Jessica's breath caught. He looked smaller somehow, diminished without his freedom and his ability to intimidate. His eyes scanned the courtroom and landed on her. For a moment, she saw the rage there, the promise of retribution. Then Derek's gaze shifted to the bikers behind her, and something flickered across his face. Fear. Good, Jessica thought fiercely. Let him be afraid for once. The bail hearing was perfunctory. The prosecutor, a tired-looking woman named Linda Shaw, argued that Derek was a flight risk and a danger to Jessica. Derek's public defender, a young man who looked fresh out of law school, argued that Derek had ties to the community and no prior record. No prior record that resulted in arrest, Prosecutor Shaw corrected. But according to the medical records from Ms. Morales, this abuse has been ongoing for 18 months. She has documented injuries, some of which are weeks old. This wasn't a one-time incident. This is a pattern of violence. The judge, an older black man named Horace Thompson, reviewed the file silently. Finally, he looked up. "Mr. Morrison, you're charged with domestic battery and assault. The medical evidence is significant, and you were caught in the act by multiple witnesses. I'm setting bail at $50,000. Additionally, you are to have no contact with Jessica Morales or her daughter, Claire Morales. If you make bail, you will be fitted with an ankle monitor, and if you come within 500 feet of Ms. Morales or her residence, you will be arrested immediately. Do you understand?" Derek's jaw clenched. "Yes, Your Honor." "Ms. Morales," Judge Thompson turned his attention to Jessica, "have you filed for a restraining order?" Jessica stood. "Yes, Your Honor. We filed it on Saturday." "Good. The temporary order is granted and will remain in effect until the hearing, which I'm scheduling for 2 weeks from today. At that time, we'll determine whether to make it permanent." He banged his gavel. "Next case." As Derek was led out, he turned his head to look at Jessica one more time. She met his gaze steadily, refusing to look away, refusing to be intimidated. After a moment, Derek was the one who looked away first. Outside the courthouse, Jessica felt like she could finally breathe. $50,000, she said. Can he make that? He'd need to come up with $5,000 for a bail bondsman, Marcus explained. Does he have that kind of money? Jessica thought about it. Maybe. He works construction, and he always had cash. He was paranoid about banks. Then we prepare for the possibility that he'll make bail, Marcus said grimly. But he'd be stupid to violate that order. Judges don't mess around with that stuff. Derek's stupid when he's angry, Jessica said quietly. Then we make sure you're protected. Marcus pulled out his phone. I'm going to set up a rotation. Different club members will drive by your house throughout the day and night, just to keep an eye out. We'll be subtle, don't want to scare Claire, but we'll be there. You can't do that indefinitely, Jessica protested. You all have jobs, lives. We work it out, Tommy interrupted. That's what the Brotherhood does. We look after each other. But I'm not part of your club. You are now, Ray said simply. Maybe not officially, but your family. That's what matters. Jessica felt tears threatening again. She had cried more in the past 3 days than she had in the past 3 months. I'll find a way to pay you back somehow. You already are, Marcus said. You pressed charges. You're standing up for yourself and your kid. You're breaking the cycle. That's payment enough. At the Victim Advocacy Center, Jessica met with a counselor named Patricia Williams, a woman in her 50s with warm brown eyes and an air of calm competence. They sat in a small office decorated with inspirational posters and soft lighting. Tell me about your situation, Patricia said, her notebook open, but her attention fully on Jessica. Jessica told her everything. Meeting Derek, the gradual escalation of control and abuse, the isolation, the violence. She told her about Claire running for help, about the bikers, about the arrest and the bail hearing. Patricia listened without interrupting, occasionally making notes. When Jessica finished, Patricia set down her pen. First, I want you to know that what happened to you is not your fault. Abusers are skilled at manipulation. They isolate their victims, destroy their self-esteem, make them financially dependent. You are not weak for staying, and you're incredibly strong for leaving. I didn't leave, Jessica said. Claire saved us. If she hadn't run for help, you would have found another way eventually, Patricia said firmly. But yes, Claire's action was the catalyst. Now let's talk about what comes next. You'll need therapy, both individual and possibly family therapy with Claire. The trauma from witnessing domestic violence can have long-lasting effects on children. I can't afford therapy. We have therapists who work on a sliding scale, some who volunteer their time. We'll find someone for both of you. Patricia made a note. You're also going to need legal representation for the restraining order hearing and the criminal case. I can refer you to an attorney who does pro bono domestic violence cases. Over the next hour, Patricia laid out a roadmap for Jessica's recovery. There were support groups for domestic violence survivors, parenting classes specifically designed for mothers healing from abuse, job training programs, even assistance with housing if Jessica needed to relocate. The most dangerous time for a domestic violence victim is right after they leave, Patricia warned. Statistics show that's when abusers are most likely to escalate to lethal violence. You need to take every precaution. Keep your phone charged at all times. Trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, call 911. Don't let Derek talk you into meeting him, not for any reason. He'll make promises, he'll apologize, he'll cry. Don't believe him. I won't, Jessica said. I'm done believing him. Good. Patricia handed her a folder full of information and resources. You're going to get through this, Jessica. It won't be easy and there will be hard days. But you've already taken the hardest step, which is getting out. That evening, Jessica picked up Claire from Mrs. Patterson's house. Her daughter had spent the day coloring and watching old movies, and she seemed more relaxed than she had been. How was court? Mrs. Patterson asked quietly, while Claire gathered her things. He's still in jail for now. Bail is high and there's a protective order. Jessica lowered her voice. But there's a chance he could make bail. Mrs. Patterson's face hardened. That man shows up around here. I'm calling the police. And I don't care how bad my hearing is. I'm keeping my windows open and my phone closed. Jessica squeezed the older woman's hand. Thank you for everything. At home, Jessica made dinner while Claire did homework at the kitchen table. It was a scene of such ordinary domesticity that Jessica felt her chest tighten with emotion. This was what life should be like. Peaceful, calm, safe. This was what she had been missing. Her phone buzzed. A notification from the security camera showed a motorcycle pulling up outside. A moment later, there was a knock at the door. Through the camera feed on her phone, Jessica saw it was Tommy. She opened the door. Evening, Tommy said. Just checking in. Everything good? Everything's fine. You didn't have to come by. I was in the neighborhood. He glanced past her at Claire, who had looked up from her homework. Besides, I brought something. He held up a paper bag. What is it? Ice cream, chocolate chip cookie dough. Figured you two could use something sweet. Despite herself, Jessica smiled. You're going to spoil us. That's the plan. Tommy handed her the bag. We got word about an hour ago. Derek made bail. Jessica's smile vanished. What? He posted it about 4:30. He's out, but he's got the ankle monitor and the judge's order stands. He comes near you, he goes back to jail, and his bail gets revoked. Tommy's expression was serious. But I wanted you to know. Marcus is setting up the watch rotation starting tonight. Someone will drive by every couple hours. Jessica's hands tightened on the bag of ice cream. Okay, thank you for telling me. You got those cameras, you got the new locks, you got our number. Anything feels off, anything at all, you call. We can be here in minutes. After Tommy left, Jessica told Claire that Derek had made bail. She tried to keep her voice calm, matter of fact. Is he going to come here? Claire asked, her eyes wide with fear. No, baby, he's not allowed to. If he does, he'll go to jail for a very long time, and we have friends watching out for us, remember? The motorcycle people. The Brotherhood, Claire said, using the name she'd heard the bikers use. Right, the Brotherhood. They ate their ice cream slowly, savoring it. Jessica checked the security camera feed obsessively, jumping at every car that drove past. Around 9 o'clock, she saw Marcus's distinctive Harley cruise slowly down the street. He didn't stop, just a watchful pass-by. It should have felt intrusive, having someone monitor her house like that. Instead, it felt safe. At 10 o'clock, Jessica tucked Claire into bed, her own bed this time, trying to restore some normalcy. I'm scared, Claire admitted as Jessica pulled the blankets up. I know, baby. I'm scared too. Jessica smoothed her daughter's hair. But being scared is okay. It means we're being careful, and we have so many people helping us now. We're not alone anymore. I like the brotherhood, Claire said sleepily, especially Mr. Bull. He's nice. He is nice. They all are. Jessica kissed her daughter's forehead. Sleep now. I'll be right down the hall. But Jessica didn't sleep. She lay in her own bed, her phone on the nightstand with the security camera app open, and listened to every sound. The house settling, the wind in the trees. A dog barking in the distance. Every noise made her heart race. Around midnight, her phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. Just drove by, all quiet, get some rest. Jessica texted back, he made bail. I know, we're on it. You're safe. Promise. Jessica stared at that word. Promise. When had anyone last made her a promise and kept it? Derek had made 1,000 promises, that he'd change, that he'd never hurt her again, that he loved her. All lies. But Marcus's promise felt different. It felt solid, real. She must have dozed off eventually because she woke with a start to sunlight streaming through her window. It was 7 in the morning. She'd slept, actually slept, for the first time in days. In the kitchen, she found a note slipped through her mail slot. Morning, bakery delivery, enjoy breakfast. On the front porch sat a box from Martha's Bakery downtown containing fresh croissants, muffins, and a loaf of bread that was still warm. Jessica carried the box inside, her throat tight with emotion. These people, these rough-looking bikers that society might judge or fear, had shown her more kindness and humanity than she'd known in years. She was beginning to understand what the brotherhood really meant. It wasn't about motorcycles or leather or rebellion. It was about loyalty, protection, and standing up for those who couldn't stand up for themselves. It was about family. And somehow, impossibly, she and Claire had become part of that family. 2 weeks passed in a strange new rhythm. Jessica returned to her job at Miller's Diner, where her boss, Mr. Carl Miller, had noticed her injuries but hadn't asked questions. He was old school and believed in minding his own business. But when Jessica explained that she'd left an abusive relationship and might need some flexibility for court dates and therapy appointments, Carl had surprised her. "Take whatever time you need," he'd said gruffly. "Your shifts will be here when you get back." The restraining order hearing had gone smoothly. Derek's lawyer had tried to argue that the order was excessive, that Derek posed no real threat. But Judge Thompson had reviewed the medical evidence and witness statements and made the order permanent. Derek was to stay at least 500 feet from Jessica, Claire, and their home for the next 3 years. Derek had stared at Jessica throughout the entire hearing, his expression shifting between rage and something that might have been pleading. At one point, he tried to catch her eye, mouthing, "I'm sorry." Jessica had looked away. She was done with his apologies. The Iron Brotherhood's presence had been constant but unobtrusive. True to their word, different members drove by the house regularly. Sometimes it was Marcus on his Harley, sometimes Tommy in his pickup truck, sometimes Angie or Ray. They never stopped unless invited, never made Jessica feel watched or controlled. They were simply there, a reassuring presence. Claire had started therapy with Dr. Lisa Warren, a child psychologist who specialized in trauma. Jessica had been worried that Claire would be reluctant to talk to a stranger, but Dr. Warren had a gentle way about her, and her office was filled with toys and art supplies. After the first session, Claire had come out carrying a drawing she'd made, a picture of their house surrounded by motorcycles. "Dr. Lisa says I'm very brave," Claire had announced proudly, "and that it's okay to feel scared sometimes." Jessica had started her own therapy with Dr. Michael Chen, who worked at the Advocacy Center. The sessions were difficult, forcing her to confront not just Derek's abuse, but the patterns that had led her to accept it. Dr. Chen had helped her understand that her own childhood, growing up with a father who yelled and a mother who never stood up for herself, had shaped her tolerance for mistreatment. "You learned early that love came with conditions, with pain," Dr. Chen had explained in one session. "You learned to make yourself small, to accommodate, to survive. That's not weakness, Jessica. That's adaptation. But now you need to learn new patterns, healthier ones." It was hard work, excavating all those buried feelings. Some nights Jessica left therapy feeling raw and exhausted. But other nights she felt lighter, as if some burden she'd carried for years was finally lifting. The brotherhood had become an unexpected source of joy in their lives. Marcus stopped by every few days, often with his youngest daughter Kelly, who was 23 and worked as a paramedic. Kelly and Jessica had bonded quickly, two young women who understood what it meant to rely on the strength of others while finding their own. Tommy had taken to bringing Claire small gifts, a new set of colored pencils, a book about motorcycles, a stuffed animal shaped like a bulldog that Claire had named Tommy Jr. Ray had helped Jessica fix the leaky faucet in her bathroom and the broken step on the back porch. Angie had taken her shopping for clothes to replace the ones Derek had criticized and made her throw away. One Saturday afternoon, about 3 weeks after Derek's arrest, Marcus showed up with an unusual request. "The Brotherhood is having a cookout tomorrow at the clubhouse," he said, standing on Jessica's porch with his hands in his pockets. "Family's welcome. We'd like you and Claire to come. No pressure. I know it might be a lot of people. And if you're not comfortable..." "We'd love to come," Jessica interrupted, surprising herself with how quickly she answered. Marcus's weathered face broke into a genuine smile. "Yeah? Great. It's casual. Burgers, hot dogs, some of the guys showing off their bikes. Usually runs from noon to whenever. I can pick you up if you need a ride." "We'll drive ourselves," Jessica said. She'd started driving again, reclaiming small pieces of independence. Derek had controlled when and where she could drive, had criticized her driving skills constantly. Now, every trip to the grocery store felt like a tiny victory. The clubhouse was a converted warehouse on the outskirts of Millbrook, with a large parking lot filled with motorcycles and a fenced yard out back. When Jessica pulled up with Claire, she felt a flutter of nervousness. There had to be 50 people here, maybe more. Marcus met them at the gate, wearing jeans and a plain black t-shirt instead of his leather vest. "Welcome to the madhouse," he said with a grin. "Come on, I'll introduce you around." The atmosphere was festive and surprisingly family-friendly. Children ran around playing tag, while adults clustered in groups, talking and laughing. The smell of grilling meat filled the air, and someone had set up speakers playing classic rock. Tommy was manning the grill, wielding spatula and tongs with theatrical flair. "Jessica, Claire, just in time, first burgers are coming off now, how do you like yours?" Over the next hour, Jessica met dozens of club members and their families. There was Jake, the vice president, a soft-spoken man in his 50s who worked as a high school shop teacher. His wife, Martha, ran the local library. There was Vincent Vinny DeLuca and his husband, Robert, who owned a landscaping business. There was Samantha Sam Rodriguez, a nurse at Millbrook General, and her teenage son, Diego, who was saving up for his first motorcycle. Each person welcomed Jessica and Claire warmly, and Jessica gradually realized something. These weren't outlaws or rebels or dangerous criminals. They were ordinary people, teachers, nurses, mechanics, parents. They just happened to ride motorcycles and believe in looking out for each other. Claire was in heaven. Several of the club members had brought their motorcycles to show off, and they were patiently explaining to the children how the engines worked, letting them sit on the bikes with parents' permission, showing them how to rev the throttle, while parked, of course. Marcus hoisted Claire onto his Harley, her small legs dangling on either side. "What do you think, kid? Think you'll ride one of these someday?" "Yes," Claire said emphatically. "A purple one." "Purple, huh?" Marcus laughed. "That's going to be one cool bike." As the afternoon wore on, Jessica found herself genuinely relaxed for the first time in months. She sat at a picnic table with Angie, Martha, and Sam, drinking lemonade and listening to their stories. They asked about her job, about Claire's school, about her plans for the future. They didn't treat her like a victim or a charity case. They treated her like a friend. "I have to ask," Jessica said during a lull in conversation. "Why do you all do this? The brotherhood, I mean. The protection, the support. What's in it for you?" The three women exchanged glances, and Angie spoke first. "I told you about my ex-husband, Carlos. When I finally left him, I had nothing and nobody. The shelter I went to, they saved my life. But after I left the shelter, I was alone again. I joined the brotherhood because I wanted to be part of something bigger than myself, something that helps people." "Same here," Sam said. "My brother was abused by our stepfather when we were kids. Nobody helped him, nobody protected him. By the time someone finally noticed and called CPS, the damage was done. My brother's 40 now and still struggles with PTSD and addiction. I ride with the brotherhood because I want to be the help that never came for him." Martha smiled softly. "My story's less dramatic. I just married a man who loved motorcycles and believed in community service. But over the years, seeing the difference we make, helping women like you, protecting children, standing up to bullies, it's become the most meaningful thing I do." Jessica felt tears prick her eyes. "I don't know if I'll ever be able to thank you all properly." "You just did," Angie said, squeezing her hand. "And someday, when you're back on your feet and strong again, you'll help someone else. That's how it works. We pass it forward." As the sun began to set, painting the sky in brilliant oranges and pinks, someone started a bonfire in the yard. People gathered around, roasting marshmallows and telling stories. Marcus produced a guitar and played old country songs, his voice surprisingly melodic. Claire sat between Jessica and Tommy, her face sticky with marshmallow, her eyes bright with happiness. "Mommy, this is the best day ever," she whispered. Jessica wrapped an arm around her daughter, pulling her close. "Yeah, baby. It really is." On the drive home, Claire chattered non-stop about the motorcycles, the food, the other children she'd played with. "Can we go back next time? Marcus said they have cookouts all summer, and Tommy said when I'm older he'll teach me about engines." "We'll see," Jessica said, but she was smiling. She could already tell they'd be going back. That night, after Claire was asleep, Jessica sat on her porch in the darkness, listening to the crickets and feeling the warm night air on her skin. Her phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. "Thanks for coming today. Meant a lot to everyone. You're family now." Jessica read the message 3 times, each time feeling that swell of emotion in her chest. Family. She'd thought it was just her and Claire against the world. But slowly, gradually, that world was expanding to include these unexpected allies, these leather-clad protectors who had shown her what true strength looked like. She thought about Derek, somewhere in Millbrook, probably angry and bitter, his ankle monitor tracking his every move. She wondered if he understood that he'd lost, not just her, not just his freedom, but any power he'd ever had over her life. Jessica was building something new. A life without fear, without walking on eggshells, without measuring every word and action against the yardstick of someone else's rage. It was terrifying and exhilarating in equal measure. Her phone buzzed again. This time it was from the Victim Advocacy Center, confirming her appointment with the pro bono lawyer who would help her file for full custody of Claire and ensure Derek had no legal claim to any decisions in Claire's life. One step at a time, Jessica thought, one day at a time. She went inside, locked the new deadbolts, checked the security camera feed one last time, and went to bed. And for the first night in longer than she could remember, she slept soundly through until morning. No nightmares, no anxiety, just deep, peaceful rest. 4 months had passed since that terrible afternoon when Claire had run into traffic. It was now late autumn, and Millbrook was painted in shades of gold and crimson as the leaves turned. The air had that crisp quality that promised winter wasn't far behind. Jessica stood in front of the bathroom mirror, applying lipstick carefully. It had been years since she'd worn makeup beyond the bare minimum, years since she'd looked at her reflection with anything other than criticism echoing in her head. Derek's voice telling her she was plain, that she was lucky anyone wanted her at all. Now looking at herself in a new blue dress she'd bought with her own money, Jessica saw someone different. The bruises had long since faded. The split lip had healed. But more than that, the fear in her eyes was gone, replaced by something harder to define. Confidence, maybe, or just the quiet strength that comes from surviving. Today was the criminal trial. Derek had rejected several plea bargain offers, insisting he'd be acquitted, that no jury would convict him based on the testimony of a lying ex-girlfriend and some biker thugs. His lawyer had advised him to take the deal, 2 years in prison with possibility of parole. But Derek's arrogance wouldn't allow it, so now they were going to trial. Jessica was terrified. She'd have to testify, have to sit in a courtroom with Derek and recount every horrible detail of the abuse. Dr. Chen had helped her prepare, doing mock testimony sessions, teaching her breathing techniques for when the anxiety threatened to overwhelm her. "Mommy, you look pretty," Claire said from the doorway. She was wearing her favorite dress, the purple one with white flowers, and her hair was in neat braids, courtesy of Angie, who had come over early to help them get ready. "Thank you, baby." Jessica bent down and kissed her daughter's forehead. "You look beautiful. Are you scared about today?" Claire asked, displaying the emotional intuition that never ceased to amaze Jessica. "A little bit scared," Jessica admitted, "but I'm also brave. And I'm ready to tell the truth. The Brotherhood will be there," Claire said with absolute confidence. "They'll keep us safe." And they were. When Jessica pulled into the courthouse parking lot, she saw them immediately. At least 15 motorcycles parked in a row, their riders standing nearby in full leather regalia. Marcus, Tommy, Ray, Angie, Jake, Vinny, Sam, and so many others. They'd all taken the day off work to be there. As Jessica and Claire approached, the bikers formed 2 lines, creating a corridor from the parking lot to the courthouse entrance. It reminded Jessica of a wedding party, except instead of throwing rice, these people were offering silent, steadfast support. Marcus stepped forward, his expression serious. "Morning, Jessica. Claire, we're here for you. All day, however long it takes." Jessica's voice was thick with emotion. "You didn't have to do this." "Yeah, we did," Tommy said firmly. "Nobody should have to face their abuser alone." Prosecutor Linda Shaw met them in the courthouse lobby. She was a veteran of domestic violence cases, and she'd prepared Jessica extensively for what to expect. "Derek looks worse for wear," Shaw said quietly as they walked toward the courtroom. 4 months in county jail hasn't been kind to him. But don't let that soften you. He's still dangerous, still manipulative. His lawyer is going to try to paint you as a vengeful ex, going to question why you didn't leave sooner, going to suggest you're exaggerating. Stay calm, stick to the truth, and remember, we have medical evidence, we have the police reports, and we have multiple witnesses. The courtroom was modest, with wooden benches and that particular smell of old buildings and nervous people. Jessica sat in the gallery with Claire beside her and the Brotherhood filling the rows behind them. Their presence was like a physical weight, a barrier between her and the man who had hurt her so badly. When Derek was led in, Jessica's breath caught. Marcus had been right. Jail had changed him. He looked thinner, older, with dark circles under his eyes and a pallor to his skin. He glanced back at the gallery, saw Jessica surrounded by the bikers, and something flickered across his face. Fear. Defeat? It was hard to tell. The jury selection had happened the previous week. Now 12 citizens of Millbrook, 7 women and 5 men, ranging in age from 25 to 68, sat in the jury box, ready to hear the case. Judge Thompson presided, his expression grave. In the matter of the state versus Derek Morrison, are both sides ready to proceed? The state is ready, Your Honor, Prosecutor Shaw said. Derek's lawyer, a middle-aged man named Gerald Finch, with a reputation for taking difficult cases, stood. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The trial began with opening statements. Prosecutor Shaw laid out the case methodically. The pattern of abuse, the escalation of violence, the day Claire ran for help, the police response, the medical evidence. She painted a picture of a controlling, violent man who had terrorized a woman and child for 18 months. Defense attorney Finch countered by suggesting that Jessica was a bitter ex-girlfriend who had fabricated or exaggerated the abuse after Derek tried to end the relationship. He claimed the bikers had intimidated Derek and that the whole situation was a misunderstanding blown out of proportion. Jessica felt anger rising in her chest at Finch's characterization, but Angie, sitting beside her, placed a steadying hand on her arm. "He's doing his job," Angie whispered. "The truth will come out." The first witnesses were the police officers who had responded to the call, Officer Brennan and Officer Chen. They testified about what they'd found. Derek with packed bags being restrained by 4 bikers, Jessica with visible injuries and crying in the backyard, Claire terrified and traumatized. In your professional opinion, Officer Brennan, did this appear to be a legitimate domestic violence situation? Prosecutor Shaw asked. Absolutely, Brennan replied without hesitation. Ms. Morales had visible injuries consistent with being struck. She was fearful and shaking. The child was distraught, and Mr. Morrison showed no remorse, only anger at being caught. Next came Dr. Rachel Kim, who presented the medical evidence with clinical precision. The photographs were displayed on a screen for the jury. Jessica's bruised face, her swollen eye, the marks on her arms and ribs. Some of the jurors winced. One woman looked close to tears. Then it was Jessica's turn. She walked to the witness stand on shaking legs, her hands clasped together to keep them from trembling. After being sworn in, she sat down and faced Prosecutor Shaw. Ms. Morales, can you tell the court how you met the defendant? Jessica took a deep breath and began. She told them about meeting Derek at a community event, about his initial charm and helpfulness. She described the gradual shift to control and violence, how he isolated her from friends, how he monitored her phone and money, how the first time he hit her, she told herself it was a one-time thing, that he was stressed, that he'd change. Why didn't you leave earlier? Prosecutor Shaw asked, getting the difficult question out of the way before the defense could weaponize it. Jessica looked at the jury. Because I was afraid I couldn't support Claire on my own. Afraid Derek would hurt me worse if I tried to leave. Afraid no one would believe me. And because when you're in an abusive relationship, they break you down piece by piece until you don't trust your own judgment anymore. Derek told me constantly that I was worthless, that I was lucky he put up with me, that no one else would want me. After hearing that every day for months, you start to believe it. Several jurors nodded, understanding in their eyes. Jessica recounted the events of that final day. Derek's rage over the money, the choking, being dragged outside and beaten. Her voice remained steady even as tears rolled down her cheeks. What happened next? Shaw asked gently. Claire ran for help. She was so brave. She ran into traffic and flagged down a group of motorcyclists, and they came to help us. If not for them, if not for my daughter and those bikers, I don't know if I'd be alive today. Cross-examination was brutal. Defense attorney Finch tried every angle, suggesting Jessica had provoked Derek, questioning why she hadn't documented the earlier abuse, implying she'd gotten involved with the bikers romantically and was fabricating the violence to cover an affair. Jessica held her ground. I didn't provoke being beaten. I didn't provoke being strangled. I didn't provoke the 18 months of fear and pain. And the Brotherhood helped me, because that's what they do. They protect people. Nothing more, nothing less. When Finch suggested that Jessica's injuries might have been caused by the bikers themselves, Jessica's eyes flashed with anger. Those people saved my life. They showed me more kindness and respect in one day than Derek showed me in 2 years. I will not let you twist their actions into something ugly. Judge Thompson sustained several of Prosecutor Shaw's objections to Finch's more outrageous questions, and Jessica finally stepped down from the witness stand, exhausted but relieved. She told the truth. She'd done what she needed to do. Claire was not required to testify due to her age, but her statement to the police was read into the record. Even in written form, her words were powerful. He was hurting Mommy really bad, and I was scared he was going to kill her, so I ran as fast as I could to find help. Marcus testified next, describing how Claire had run into traffic, what they'd found in the backyard, and Derek's threats toward Jessica. Under cross-examination, Finch tried to paint the Brotherhood as a vigilante group. Mr. Thornton, isn't it true that motorcycle clubs like yours have a reputation for violence and criminal activity? Marcus's expression remained calm. Some do. The Iron Brotherhood doesn't. We're registered with the state as a community service organization. We do charity rides for children's hospitals, toy drives at Christmas, and yes, we help domestic violence victims. Our books are open, our membership is vetted, and we work with law enforcement, not against them. But you and your friends physically confronted Mr. Morrison. We stopped him from beating a woman, Marcus interrupted firmly. We called the police immediately. We didn't touch him, didn't threaten him beyond telling him he needed to leave. We provided protection for someone who needed it. If that's vigilantism, then anyone who's ever stopped a crime in progress is a vigilante. The courtroom had several spectators who nodded in agreement. Over the next 2 days, more witnesses testified. Mrs. Patterson, the neighbor, admitted tearfully that she'd heard arguing but hadn't realized how serious it was. Co-workers from Miller's Diner testified that they'd noticed bruises on Jessica, but she'd always made excuses. Tommy, Ray, and Angie all recounted what they'd witnessed. Derek chose not to testify in his own defense. His lawyer's advice, clearly, because Derek's temper would have been his undoing under cross-examination. Instead, the defense called character witnesses who testified that Derek was a hard worker, that they'd never seen him be violent, that he seemed like a nice guy. Prosecutor Shaw dismantled these testimonies methodically. Did you live with Mr. Morrison? Did you see him in private, behind closed doors? Abusers are often charming in public. That's how they maintain their image and keep their victims isolated. Closing arguments came on the afternoon of the 3rd day. Prosecutor Shaw was passionate and precise, walking the jury through the evidence piece by piece. Derek Morrison is guilty of domestic battery and assault. The evidence is overwhelming. Medical records, police testimony, eyewitness accounts, and the victim's own powerful testimony. This was not a misunderstanding. This was not a mutual fight. This was a sustained campaign of abuse, culminating in a violent attack that would have been worse, perhaps fatal, if not for the intervention of good Samaritans and a brave 7-year-old girl. Jessica Morales and her daughter deserve justice. I ask you to give it to them. Defense attorney Finch made his best effort, but his arguments felt hollow. He suggested reasonable doubt, claimed the prosecution's narrative was exaggerated, insisted that Derek deserved a second chance. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Jessica spent that time in a private room with Claire and the Brotherhood, unable to eat or drink, her stomach in knots. Marcus sat beside her, a steady, calming presence. Whatever happens, you told your truth, he said quietly. You did everything right. Be proud of that. When the jury returned, the courtroom fell silent. Jessica gripped Angie's hand on one side and Claire's on the other. As the jury reached a verdict, Judge Thompson asked. The jury foreman, a woman in her 50s, stood. "We have, Your Honor. In the matter of domestic battery, how do you find?" "We find the defendant guilty." "In the matter of assault, how do you find?" "We find the defendant guilty." The courtroom erupted. Jessica heard herself sob, not from sadness, but from relief so profound it felt like flying. Claire wrapped her arms around her mother's waist, and Angie was crying too, and behind them, the Brotherhood let out a quiet but satisfied murmur. Derek's face crumpled. For the first time, Jessica saw him look truly defeated. Judge Thompson banged his gavel. "Order! Sentencing will take place in 2 weeks. Mr. Morrison, you are remanded to custody until that time. Court is adjourned." As Derek was led away in handcuffs, he looked back at Jessica one last time. She met his gaze without flinching, without fear, and then he was gone. Outside the courthouse, the late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the parking lot. The Brotherhood congratulated Jessica, their joy tempered by the solemnity of what had just occurred. "How do you feel?" Marcus asked. Jessica considered the question. "Free," she finally said. "For the first time in years, I feel free." 2 weeks later, Derek was sentenced to 5 years in prison, with no possibility of parole for 3 years. Additionally, the permanent restraining order would extend for 10 years after his release. It was more than Jessica had hoped for, enough time for her and Claire to truly rebuild their lives without looking over their shoulders. Life settled into a new normal. Jessica got promoted to shift supervisor at Miller's Diner with a small but meaningful raise. She and Claire moved to a better apartment on the north side of Millbrook. Nothing fancy, but newer, safer, with better schools nearby. Claire thrived. Her nightmares decreased, her grades improved, and she made friends easily at her new school. She talked about Marcus and the Brotherhood with pride, often drawing pictures of motorcycles and giving them to the bikers who had become her extended family. Jessica continued therapy, working through layers of trauma and old patterns. She joined a support group for domestic violence survivors and found strength in sharing her story with others who understood. Several times, she was able to offer comfort and advice to women just beginning their own journeys away from abuse. And she remembered Angie's words about passing it forward. The Brotherhood remained a constant in their lives. Jessica and Claire attended every cookout, every charity event, every toy drive. Jessica even started volunteering with the club's community outreach program, helping other women navigate the resources available to domestic violence victims. On a warm spring afternoon, nearly a year after that terrible day, Jessica sat in the backyard of the Iron Brotherhood clubhouse, watching Claire play with the other children. Marcus settled into the lawn chair beside her, nursing a beer. "Penny for your thoughts," he said. Jessica smiled, just thinking about how much has changed. "A year ago, I didn't think I'd survive. Now look at us." "You did the hard work," Marcus reminded her. "We just provided some backup." "You provided hope," Jessica corrected. When Claire ran into traffic that day, she was hoping someone would stop, someone would care. You did. You all did. You gave us back our lives. Marcus was quiet for a moment. "Can I tell you something? That day changed us too, reminded us why we ride, why we band together. It's easy to forget sometimes, to get caught up in the mechanics of running a club, but then something like this happens, and you remember what really matters." "What's that?" "Showing up when someone needs you, being the help that comes, making sure people know they're not alone." He gestured to the yard full of families, bikers and non-bikers mingling freely. This, community, family, that's what it's all about. Jessica felt tears prick her eyes, happy tears this time. "Thank you, Marcus, for everything." "Anytime, Jessica, anytime." As the sun began to set, painting the sky in brilliant pinks and golds, Claire ran over to where Jessica sat. "Mommy, Tommy said next year when I'm 8, I can ride on the back of Angie's motorcycle at the charity ride. Can I, please?" Jessica looked at her daughter's shining eyes, at the joy and confidence radiating from her. This was a child who had faced terror and trauma, but was healing, growing stronger. This was a child who knew she was protected and loved. "We'll see," Jessica said, but she was smiling. She already knew the answer would be yes. That night, driving home with Claire dozing in the passenger seat, Jessica thought about the journey they'd traveled, from that horrible afternoon to this peaceful evening, from fear and isolation to safety and community, from victim to survivor. She thought about Derek serving his sentence and felt nothing, no anger, no fear, no regret. He was part of her past, but he had no place in her future. She thought about the Brotherhood, those unlikely angels in leather and chrome who had roared into her life at exactly the right moment. But most of all, she thought about Claire, her brave, resilient daughter who had loved her mother enough to run into traffic, to risk herself, to find help. Claire, who had quite literally saved both their lives. "I love you, baby," Jessica whispered, though Claire was asleep and couldn't hear. The road ahead was long, and Jessica knew there would be challenges still to face. Healing wasn't linear, and some scars ran deep, but she wasn't facing those challenges alone anymore. She had Claire, she had the Brotherhood, she had herself, stronger and braver than she'd ever imagined she could be. As she pulled into the parking lot of their new apartment complex, Jessica looked up at the stars just beginning to appear in the darkening sky. She thought about all the women still trapped in situations like the one she'd escaped, and she made a silent promise. She would be someone's hope someday, someone's reason to believe they could survive. She would pass it forward, because that's what the Brotherhood had taught her, that helping others isn't just about grand gestures or dramatic rescues. It's about showing up. It's about caring when it would be easier not to. It's about being the person who stops when someone asks for help. Inside their apartment, Jessica tucked Claire into bed, kissing her forehead gently. "Sweet dreams, my brave girl." "Mommy," Claire murmured sleepily. "Are we happy now?" Jessica thought about the question, really thought about it. For so long, happiness had seemed like something other people experienced, something forever out of her reach. But now, in this moment, with her daughter safe and loved, with friends who had become family, with a future full of possibility rather than fear. "Yeah, baby," Jessica answered, her voice full of wonder and certainty. "We're happy now." And they were. Did this story touch your heart in some way? These stories of courage, community, and survival matter because they remind us that help can come from unexpected places and that we're stronger together than we are alone. If this story resonated with you, please leave a comment below sharing your thoughts. Hit that like button. Share this video with someone who needs to hear a message of hope today, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more powerful stories of resilience and redemption. Thank you for being part of this community.